Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Schmierer, Vice President of Operations for Sparx Services North America. We're here for the Prolaborate 4 launch event. We're really excited about this and hope you are too. Prolaborate 4, it's designed for the cloud. It's got a simpler, more intuitive user interface, new features that you've been asking for. If you're an architect and you haven't used Prolaborate yet, you need to pay attention and look at this. If you're a business user or executive stakeholder who manages an architecture team or an IT organization and you want to maximize the value of your architecture investments for your organization, this tool is for you. If you are an architecture team that uses Sparx today and you want to move your architecture platform to the cloud and move to a SaaS-based model so your team can spend less time administering your architecture platform and more time doing great architecture, Prolaborate can help you do that. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the latest development from Sparx Systems, Prolaborate 4.
Welcome to Prolaborate 4. Designed for the cloud. Lightning fast performance. New simplified interface. The features users have been requesting. Prolaborate enables you to share architecture models through a browser with non-modelers. Create interactive dashboards to communicate architecture insights. Collect feedback and collaborate with stakeholders directly on the model. Conduct reviews and document approvals without the need for a bunch of documents and emails. New in Prolaborate 4. Support for customer modeling languages. Enhanced single sign-on features for streamlined role-based access control. Simplified navigation to be more intuitive for business users. New search capability to do keyword matching across the repository. If you use Sparx but don't have Prolaborate, you are missing out on some of the most powerful platform capabilities. Maximize the value of your architecture investments with Sparx Prolaborate 4. Your journey starts now.
Prolaborate 4, it's not your father's architecture modeling tool. This isn't just the Sparx Enterprise Architect tool that you're used to. It's more than that. Prolaborate is a collaboration platform. It's there to enable your architects, your project teams, and IT professionals to work seamlessly with your business and executive stakeholders, and then to take the rich knowledge and insights that exist within your architecture repository and share them across your entire organization. Here to walk you through some of the key capabilities of Prolaborate and show you some of the new features in Prolaborate 4 is Nizam Mohamed, creator of Prolaborate and the leader of the Prolaborate product group at Sparx Systems.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan, and thanks everyone for joining. Thanks, Sparx North America, for this opportunity to talk about Prolaborate, which, as you said, is one of the recent additions to the Sparx suite of products, but it has been, setting some real new ways in which people could interact with the models and drive insights using the architecture information that we've been creating. So I'm not going to go into a very detailed demo or anything of that sort in this session, but I just want to quickly give a couple of things that really motivated us and drove us towards building something from scratch to cater to the latest and the greatest needs of the customers. So we've been having Prolaborate for the last couple of years in the market. It's been doing great. People have been, especially Sparx EA users, have been really excited about an opportunity to take the model information that has always been seen as a technical information. There's a lot of rich information that's been modeled, but it's always been seen as something that is contained within the Sparx, EA world. Prolaborate has been that tool to take those information and share to the non-EA users and get a wider community engagement. And with Prolaborate 4.0, we have just incorporated all the learning and feedback that we have gathered over a period and our continuous R&D to align ourselves with the top end, like the latest cutting edge technologies that are built for cloud. So that's the theme, and this will be a quick agenda. I'll be just going through it very briefly in this session just to set the context. First, let's start with what really were the drivers behind building Prolaborate 4.0. And just for everyone's information, for people who know Prolaborate, this is a newer version of the same software, but behind the scenes, it's a complete rewrite. It's a new technical stack that has been built with an intention to be highly scalable, cloud ready, really fast and responsive, and give us the same experience that any modern collaboration tool gives to the users. So that's, those were our drivers. So we wanted to give a really, really smooth and seamless user experience. Prolaborate was originally built with user experience as the only focus, but still we have taken into consideration a whole raft of feedback and focus group pain points that we have even seen with the previous version of Prolaborate and have tried to address it. And we wanted to have really top-notch performance. Performance has been one of the factors in the previous version of Prolaborate that was given to us as a feedback. So we went all the way to the trenches, to the roots of the things that were slowing down or causing some performance overage, and we have just tried to nail them down. And it's cloud ready. So in the last 3 years especially, what we've been seeing is a significant shift towards cloud-based infrastructure. The original version of Prolaborate was built for an on-premise deployment, which was maintained as an on-premise application. But the more necessity, it was more than a request, it was a necessity to be lightweight, scalable, and deployable across multiple zones. So we had cloud ready as our foundational concept to build the new version. And then there's been a lot of learnings over a period of time. So Prolaborate as a team, as a product, we have been building it with customers and clients as the prime focus. We wanted to have the best experience possible, and we've been listening to every single feedback, discussing on even concerns or pain points and trying to improve our learning and experience. And we have kind of chosen the best features that we could think of and kind of implemented it already, or we have lined up in our roadmap to be implemented going forward. What started as a sharing and collaboration platform a couple of years back has now turned into more an analysis and insights and visualization tool. So when we made that switch from just a share and collaboration tool into more visualizations and insights, and for even the highest level of stakeholders, there were requirements and features that were requested. So those are all factored in the new version. And then scalability was the key requirement as well. We have teams who are deployed across the world, multiple zones, so many teams distributed across different regions, and we wanted a cloud-ready application that's seamlessly scalable. And with AWS and Azure and other cloud providers improving their offerings by the day, we are also trying to be in par with them by supporting them with the right software stack that could be scalable and robust as well. So those were the drivers. And again, I'm just going to quickly touch upon the key I would say beliefs that we have. We don't believe in things to be complex or really detailed or really overwhelming. We rather give priority to have something simple and clean and focused on the right stakeholders. So our the whole application has been built with these as the core values. So the interface has been even more simplified and refined and polished to make it slick. And the experience for the users, the number of clicks, the time that they spend on accessing something that is of their interest has all been analyzed very carefully and have brought with impulsive buttons and actions that can help them navigate through the model and find the right information. We have again traded off complexity and really advanced features for simplicity and ease of use, and that will be evident throughout the application. And we also wanted to have people just browse through the model or navigate through the model like an architect could do with ease in Enterprise Architect. We wanted anyone to navigate through the model, so there's been a lot of research on how to bring those informative pages that gives everything in a platter, so that they could just navigate across, understand the entire schema or the traceability, and make the most out of what has been modeled. And the most important feature of Prolaborate is collaboration and reviews, and we have just improved it multi-folds to make it even more intuitive and easier for users, with a lot of notifications, reminders, and visibility across the portal to let them take part in the review and share their feedback. So that's been the underlying design principles. And obviously visualizations, you would see a whole raft of new and easy to use visualizations. There were visualizations in Prolaborate that kind of received really good accolades, but again, we have incorporated even the learnings from even the first few versions and have imparted all of them in this to make it even more easier for the users to slice and dice information and get the results that they are after from a model. And a really powerful visual impact and what if analysis tool has been added, so that you could just pick anything from your architectural repository and understand what will be impacted if something changes. What if a server goes down? What if a business service is been modified? What applications need to be updated as well? So you could do any questions, a what if analysis using these powerful visualizations. So that's in a very quick look at the features. And I would like to take a few minutes to walk through the actual Prolaborate 4.0 in action. So if you look at it, this is Prolaborate 4.0, and the focus is anyone to look at the model information through a web browser without having to understand the intricacies or nuances of EA and its project structure and complex hierarchies and things like that. Just a couple of clicks to navigate through the model, get all the information that we need in a platter. You could even navigate back and forth between EA diagrams and Prolaborate interface seamlessly, and you could see everything around an artifact is shown instantly, and just a click, and you are just a click away from navigating to those. So I'm just trying to understand the entire capability hierarchy and the business value starting from an application diagram. And the traceability information in EA allows it, but Prolaborate helps them navigate. And the other view is the dashboards, which we can build using the EA model information. And in Prolaborate 4.0, one significant feature is we can use these dashboards as the only sharing and engaging factor. So instead of even showing EA diagrams, we can show these dashboards, let people collaborate on these dashboards and widgets, so they get their insights. They don't have to understand a BPMN diagram or an architecture diagram. These dashboards consume that information behind and presents all of them in a easy, clickable, and intuitive charts and reports. So people who have to just find or get a question answered, they could use these interfaces and these widgets to get those information. So you could see how EA's information is working on a more dynamic portal. Alternatively, Prolaborate can also share those live EA diagrams, but the focus again is simplification and curation. As you could see, this is a BPMN process, but Prolaborate will allow a modeler to quickly design what is exactly meant to be shown to an audience and just shows that. And it's also designed in a way that it invites people to collaborate and participate. So you could just add a discussion on any of these artifacts, and that gets notified to all the users who would be interested in a particular process. And there are multiple visualizations. So I'm just switching between multiple users. So there could be different charts and different dashboards for different user groups, and they can use these as a starting point to navigate through the model information and find what is appropriate for them. And the views, as you could see, are consistent. You don't see very many inconsistencies here. Everywhere, whichever starting point you get into the model, you'll be able to navigate across EA diagrams and traceability and find its details as well. So this is just showing that with minimal clicks, you'll be able to get the full and detailed information without being intimidated or overwhelmed with the interface. And lastly, we have revamped reviews based on inputs and feedback from regular users. And one significant improvement is ability to just search and find the exact artifacts from a big fat repository and use them for review. We've been focusing on search and ease of finding information throughout Prolaborate 4.0, and you could see that it's a really intuitive graphical user interface to set up a review on a EA model. You could just click to add users for reviews, and that gets added as a review, and an email notification will be sent to those users saying, hey, there is a new review that you've been assigned to, and they can click and land in their review landing page. And you could see that this has also been really improved to give them the exact information they are after. So if it's a diagram, you'll see the diagram thumbnail, and you could click to navigate to that particular diagram, and you could see all the discussions that are happening in that particular diagram. Or if you want to suggest a change, you can add as a comment as well. And if you're fine with all of them, you could just go and say, I've reviewed it. So it's as simple as viewing a live diagram and reviewing it. Alternatively, if you want to, if this is another user and he is also notified of a new review, and he just sees, okay, I'm fine with all of them, and in one go they say, I'm done with all the reviews, and that's it. A notification will be sent back to the moderator. So having people working on a consistent and simple interface and having all the discussions and reviews consolidated in one place has been a significant feature in 3.0 as well, and now in 4.0 it's even more revamped. And you could see that we have focused on ability, like usability, and letting people find information wherever they are without having to do so many, like multiple clicks, or click and navigate through multiple windows, browse through hierarchies, and find that information. So it's all offered in a platter and in a really simple UI, so people could just get into it, find what they want, and get the results that they're after. So that's a really quick preview of 4.0, and it's all ready for you to get started. So Ryan and the team have organized multiple ways to let you try the Prolaborate 4.0 so that you could get a hands-on to explore these features.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nizam. That was a lot of content there. This next section here, Nizam, you and I are going to engage in a bit of an interview type discussion, to talk a little bit about some of these features and the context behind them and some of the thinking behind them. I guess one of the things that I want to start with is, you talked a lot about simplification as in terms of the design objective and vision for Prolaborate 4. But when we think about why a simple interface is important, Sparx has struggled for a long time providing the robust features that architects need, but at the same time not inviting everyone into the kitchen to see how it's made. Providing that curated experience for business stakeholders and executives to consume architecture in a simpler way. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of the user feedback process. I mean, you've talked to hundreds of customers over the last couple of years, getting feedback. Tell me a little bit about, the requirements journey and user feedback and how you incorporate that into your product designs.
Absolutely, Ryan. So Prolaborate is a result of multiple years of working as a EA consultant. So I've been working with Sparx Systems and like doing EA work for the last 15 odd years. And every time we do a large modeling exercise, we get all the architects going above and beyond to build all the models. But then the challenges kicks in when we really want to engage the non-EA users, when we want to get in the buy-in from the business users. And that has been a problem that we have never been able to solve. We have tried exporting it as Word and PDFs. We have even tried exporting it into HTMLs and things like that. But that hasn't given that factor to get the business buy-in. And the reason is like there's a lot of information in it, and it's essential to have that information. Without that information, a model won't be complete, but a business user easily gets overwhelmed with a lot of information. So with this as the primary objective, we started with Prolaborate, and the goal was take all the model information that is behind the scenes and put them in a simple curated manner so that it just provides the right information at the right level of detail for the business or the stakeholders. It could be any team. Prolaborate's ability to be customized to different stakeholders, is one of its success, like reason for success. You could build different portals, different views for application architects, for process managers, for project managers. Any different audience could have their own specific curated view, and that's been the driving factor for Prolaborate's design.
Gotcha. I really like what you said there. You talked about, it makes the data available to anyone, but this isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. When we talk about curation, it's about communication. It's about having specific conversations with specific stakeholder groups. And so one of the features I really like about Prolaborate is the ability to define different groups. Maybe you're working on a project team and you have a specific set of business stakeholders or project team members, and you want to share content specifically around that project. Or maybe you're a business architect, working with some operations team, and you only want to show the stuff relevant to that set of business processes. I like the fact that you can define different sets of groups, different audiences, to be able to review and engage with things, to spawn off discussions with specific groups of people, because communication isn't always broadcast. Often it's point-to-point communication, or I'm talking or collaborating with a small group. And I think we really hit the mark in helping us get there, with this release. So something else you and I have talked about a lot over the past few months is, and you hit on it in kind of your introduction, is the original version of Prolaborate was built before the cloud kind of grew and exploded, and we're getting and because of that, it was designed to be deployed on premise. With Sparx Services, we're seeing a huge number of customers. In fact, I'd say most of them now are either deploying applications, in their own clouds, in some sort of a private cloud environment, or they're looking for software to be delivered as SaaS solutions, and managed by other people. Tell me a little bit about, about the cloud first approach, and what you've seen with that and how it played into this release.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, Ryan, this was built as an on-premise solution when we started, because at that time, almost all the large companies who've been using EA have stringent policies. They were not really inclined to get the data in a cloud. Like, it was still considered a taboo. But in the last 2 years or so, I would say 3 years, the amount of interest and the number of people moving towards cloud, especially post-COVID, has been enormous. Like you said, almost everyone wants to move to cloud because gone are those days when they want to maintain an in-house server and have a team to deploy and maintain it. So the 4.0 is first driver was to make a solution that is cloud ready, which is containerized, which is dockerized, so that it could just be deployed with limited or light infrastructure and scale as per the usage. So previously we have been deploying the Sparx platform on cloud, and it's been working fantastic, really well. But the problem is it is a thick or it's a heavy application to deploy. It has to go through some considerable infrastructure for it to be deployed, and it was having its own limitations in scalability because it was built for a different architecture. So this time cloud has been the theme, and we have been using the latest cutting edge technologies behind to allow that kind of a scalable and auto, like, robust deployments.
Gotcha. You bring up a good point. When most people think about Sparx, they think about enterprise architect. And Sparx has been known for a long time as an architecture modeling tool. And with Prolaborate, we see a little bit of a repositioning here. Sparx being repositioned as kind of a full architecture management platform, not just a modeling tool for architects to create models. And enterprise architect, I mean, that's still the robust modeling tool that sits behind the scene that allows you to model out pretty much anything, and integrate it with all sorts of stuff. But one of the things that I've talked with a lot of architects about is successful architecture is only about 1/3 design. 2/3 of it is communication and collaboration. And we really see with Prolaborate the focus shifting. It's not shifting away from doing great design and doing great modeling, but it's addressing the holistic needs of architects, addressing both the design and the collaboration aspects. And when you developed Prolaborate, it started with collaboration. That's where you started. You and I have talked about that. And we see that reflected even in the product name. Tell me a little bit, why do you feel collaboration is such a big deal for architects? In your time consulting and working with the Sparx community, tell me a little bit more about this need and how we're meeting it.
Yeah, sure, Ryan. Like you said, Enterprise Architect is one of the most powerful and multifaceted modeling tool, and that is the core of this entire solution. But like me, you and I, everyone in this forum will agree that architecture is done for a purpose. It's meant to answer business queries. Doing an architecture for the sake of doing it, I don't think anyone would ever do it. And if we are doing it to answer business queries, to provide the right information at the right point of time, we need to have their inputs during the design, while the design is finalized, and also during enhancements and changes. And for this, we need them to participate in discussions. We need, when I say them, I'm talking about the non-EA users, to participate in the discussion. There's no point in sitting in ivory tower and drawing all the fancy looking diagrams and having a poster stuck in the wall. It's about having something that's living and breathing, and that is consistently or constantly seen by the non-EA users, and they give us the right feedback so that we get the improvements. It should be seen by the project teams who are updating their applications, who are updating the infrastructure behind. It should be seen by business analysts. It should be seen by process managers. It should be seen, and they should give us the feedback if there's a change in architecture, or if there's a change in process. It should be reflected in the tool. Otherwise, it becomes dead and stale. And the moment it becomes dead and stale, no one refers to it. And 1 year down the line, again, we have to redo the entire exercise. So collaboration is the make or break in an architecture's success.
Gotcha. Well, over the last few months, I've actually spent quite a bit of time talking with some CIOs about some of their challenges with their architecture practice. And when I talk to CIOs, they clearly see the value potential of architecture, and they understand the need to invest in creating and managing their architecture. And that's part of the reason why architects in most organizations are some of the highest paid job disciplines within IT, and that's fantastic. But the CIOs I talked to were really concerned about architecture becoming and being a silo within their organization, a pocket of knowledge that's great. There's a lot of stuff there, but it's not able to really be consumed. And when I press them further on that, they said, their biggest challenge is getting the architecture insights out of the heads of the architects and into the hands of the decision makers across the organization, and tooling is really a part of that. And I think you talked to a little bit of how Prolaborate with curation and being able to simplify this helps provide a facility to do that. One of the key features that you showed a little bit in your little demonstration that I'm most excited about when it comes to this new release is actually something simple. It's the search bar in the top right corner of the screen. This is something new in Prolaborate, and the ability to do keyword searching across the repository. And I wonder whether you might talk for a minute about that, and what it does, and why you guys put it in there. Search is kind of of one of those of course features that most people just kind of expect, but you've got a really powerful capability here. That can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, and I think I'm glad you picked that up. One of the focus of Sparx Systems in the last couple of years has been to be that integrated platform. So gone are those days when we try to create everything in one tool. Any large organization will have that freedom to let the teams choose the tools of their preference. So they use different tools for CMDB, different tools for requirements management, different tools for publishing. And EA will be, EA has been trying to be that tool which pulls data from different sources to build that consolidated view. And when we have a search in that is powered by such an integrated data, which has sources from ServiceNows and Jira's and Doors and Polarions, and you are able to search with simple keywords and without doing any SQL queries or anything like that. Just search, find the right information, and then navigate through the entire model from that starting point has been a really powerful feature that people have been asking. And again, like I said, search is it's a simple feature to look at it, but what has made this significantly or of high value is now we can search across Jira's tickets from Jira's, or user stories from Jira, or your configuration items from ServiceNow, because all of them are now pulled into the Sparx platform through those integrations that are available. So that makes it even more powerful. And Prolaborate being the front end, anyone, even without navigating across multiple platforms, can get that information offered in a platter for them.
Great. So let me try and take a step back and put this into a little context. So the search feature actually does what's something that's been available in EA for a long time, which is the ability to do keyword searching across the entire repository. In EA, it's called Find in Repository, which allows you to enter a keyword and say, show me all the different places where this thing shows up, within the repository. Which, when you integrate Sparx with other platforms, like Nizam mentioned, something like ServiceNow, your CMDB, so it has all your servers and all your discovered infrastructure components. When it has your real-time business requirements data and known issues lists and requirements and things like that, that becomes really powerful. And that's been available in EA for a while. So in the past, you had to go to an architect and say, hey, can you help me analyze this? But with this new search feature, you can, any user within your organization can search through the architecture repository and the related content to find stuff. And then when you combine that with the impact analysis capabilities, you can then go to that object and say, well, show me all the things related to it. And that's pretty exciting. But actually have a little scenario here that, I think really kind of helps to pull this one together. I'm a CIO. I woke up this morning and in my LinkedIn feed, I see an article that, oh no, SolarWinds has been hacked again. No, that didn't happen this morning, but it could happen. My first thought is, to take a breath. Do we use SolarWinds? What do we use it for? Are we at risk? How would I know? In the past, the next steps in this story is for that CIO to frantically reach out to architects, managers, operations teams, and initiate kind of a fire drill to say, hey guys, this thing, does it impact us? What's the deal? And then they call their admin, to call their senior staff together for a staff meeting as soon as they get into the office, to figure out what do we do about this. Okay, a lot of chaos, in terms of the natural response to this. Let's pause there. Let's take a different path on this. With this new search feature in Prolaborate, the CIO can go to the Prolaborate portal, type in SolarWinds to the search bar, and see all the places it shows up across the architecture. They can then click on an instance and see what it is, where it's installed, what business processes depend on it. If they have ServiceNow integrated, they can also see where that shows up in their CMDB. Oh, our discovery tool shows that it's in 13 places. But great, so you did an impact analysis with a simple search. But here's where things get really exciting. Instead of a big fire drill for the organization, they click on the discussion icon in Prolaborate, which is tied directly to the object in the model. They paste the link to the article along with the question, hey guys, are we at risk? Immediately, the architects and anyone else who is listed as an owner on that object is sent a message with the question that they can just click on to respond. In less time than it takes me to get my kindergarten to finish his breakfast, the CIO will know whether they're using the impacted component. They will understand the risk exposure to their organization. They will have initiated direct contact with the people who know about it, who can do something about it. They can have those people then work on remediation plans to contain the impact, and they can address the risk situation in a coordinated and calm way. And that's something that a lot of organizations have struggled with in the past. And they can do that without having to understand the architecture and the infrastructure and all the details. They get to interact with the information in business context and business terms. Talk about maximizing the value from your architecture investments. We just took all that work that the architects did, in assembling the big picture and the connective tissue, and made it accessible to decision makers with a few mouse clicks and type in a keyword. And that's really exciting, as we look at the role of architects in the organization. So Nizam, this brings us, to the topic of integration, and want to touch on this for just a little bit. Over the past year, integration has been a big focus of both the Sparx team, working on enterprise architecture and ProCloud Server, as well as what you've been doing with Prolaborate. Tell us about some of the most popular integrations that are out there, and what people are using them for.
Yeah, absolutely. Integrations, like you said, is becoming the norms. As I said, people are given that freedom to choose the tools that are best for them. And EA has been that consolidation layer which draws information from multiple sources and build those interconnections between these data sources. And there are many integrations happening with this Sparx platform through ProCloud Server and Prolaborate. But the most popular ones have been the Atlassian suite. The Jira and Confluence has been one of the most sought after. I would say almost 70% of Prolaborate users also use Jira and Confluence. And Prolaborate's integration with Confluence allows you to publish a live diagram into a Confluence page, which auto refreshes itself. And the next most popular is like to pull data from things like a ServiceNow. All the configuration items are maintained and mastered in ServiceNow, but we need those configurations and applications and servers into EA to be able to get that full view. And instead of redoing or reinventing the wheel, we could just use the PCS integration or the integration with EA to get them into Sparx and connected to all the other artifacts in the repository. And that has been one of the most sought after in the last couple of, I would say more than a year. This has become a norm as well. So, I could keep talking about the doors and Polarions and other softwares as well, but these are the most sought after integrations.
Gotcha. And we will be having some follow-on webinars over the next couple of months. You're talking about specific integrations and some of the things that you can do with them. The integration with ServiceNow, really exciting when you're talking about using your current CMDB data as architecture building blocks or solution building blocks for designing target state systems. Leveraging requirements out of Jira and integrating those into your models, and we'll be talking a lot about that in the future. Let's talk about architects for a minute. Last quarter we hit the milestone at Sparx of 1 million global enterprise architect users. Sparx Systems Enterprise Architect is by far the most widely used architecture tool in the world now. A lot of those EA users don't know about Prolaborate or why they need it. You've been practicing architect and a consultant for many years. Why should architects be focusing on collaboration instead of just doing design, and how can Prolaborate help them be more impactful in doing their jobs?
Absolutely. So as much as we say Prolaborate is catered towards non-EA users, the the entire community who would consume the model information, if there's one group that is particularly benefited from this, it's the architects, because it's all the hard work and efforts that an architect puts into creating such comprehensive models is what has been leveraged and shared to the wider community. And with this, their work becomes mainstream and everyone will look at it to find insights. In the past, we have to accept that architects' work has been looked at as a separate discipline, and only Word documents or Excel extracts from those architects will be used or referenced by others. But now having a platform that connects their work, brings it online and share it to the rest of the world, makes their work even more mainstream. And that is, as I said, I have been a Sparx EA user for many years, and Prolaborate has been a result of multiple bottlenecks where we are not able to take the model, the information to the external stakeholders. So architects has the full control on Prolaborate to design the dashboards that they are after, to design the insights that they want to present to the intended stakeholders. It's a tool built for architects to configure and expose their model information. Though it's catered towards non-EA users, as I've been saying repeatedly, the architects group and their modeling efforts is going to be reaching the best or maximum value through Prolaborate. And that's what we've been hearing from people who've been using Prolaborate as well. So like we said, more than 1 million users with EA. In the last year and a half, we have had more than 225 deployments of Prolaborate. When I say Prolaborate, it's not individual users. If we count users, it will be much more, but 225 deployments where teams were adopting to this new way of working, and the feedback has been really great because architects are getting excited with this opportunity to take the information and the work that they do and socialize with the wider community.
Fantastic. Yeah, and what architect doesn't like having executives and stakeholders, be able to access their data and say, hey, that was really important to me. That's a great, reaffirmation for those architects that the work that they're doing really does have value. And so, yes, there's a business value piece to it, but there's also, a motivational value for your architects as well, in terms of, getting their thoughts, getting their ideas, getting their insights out there and into the hands of people who need it. So now that you've been introduced to Prolaborate 4, it's time to take it for a test drive. If you're watching the event live, there will be a link below the video. You can click to request a trial to get in and take a look and play with it for yourself. If you're watching a recording, the link is provided in the YouTube's comments section or on the landing page where you're watching the video. When you get an account set up in the demo system, try it out for yourself. In your invitation link, it'll also have an email address if you've got any questions. So today we've talked about kind of the development journey of Prolaborate, the problems it solves for IT and their leaders, some of the cool new features, integration options, how this release helps architects be more impactful. Wow, that's a lot of stuff for folks to think about. Nizam, I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and a big thanks to the whole Prolaborate development team. You guys really knocked it out of the park with this release, and we can really see the effort and the passion that went into making the Prolaborate 4 release possible. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, for this opportunity, and thank you everyone for joining. Yep.
As we talked about earlier in the session, Prolaborate 4 is designed for the cloud. It's available as a fully hosted SaaS subscription where we can set it up and we can run it for you. All you've got to do is log in and start architecting. We can also help you deploy it into your private cloud, or if you're in the US and you need to deploy it on GovCloud, we can help you with that too. Or if you need to deploy it in a legacy on-premise environment, that's possible as well. And we can help you do that and architect and design the right solution that meets your company's business needs. If you're a Sparx user only using Enterprise Architect today, you really need to be looking at Prolaborate. It really does help expand your impact and enable you to interact with your stakeholders in a new way. And the platform implementation team at Sparx Services North America, they can help you get started. Whether it's helping put together a business justification, to get into next year's budget, or if you're an existing Sparx user and you want to understand what the upgrade path looks like, we're here to help you figure all that stuff out. And with that, your Prolaborate journey starts now. So thank you for joining us. Stay healthy and have a great day.